All right, imagine this for a second. You walk into a grocery store, grab a few vegetables, head to the checkout, and somehow your bill is way higher than you expected. And you're standing there thinking, wait, I only bought a few things. I mean, seriously, have you noticed how expensive simple vegetables have gotten lately? Tomatoes, peppers, even herbs. The crazy part is, some of the vegetables we keep buying every week are actually ridiculously easy to grow at home. Like, so easy that once you realize it, you kind of start wondering why you ever paid for them in the first place. And I'm not talking about owning a huge farm or having acres of land. No, no. I mean a few pots, a balcony, even a sunny window. That's it. And today, I want to show you 10 vegetables you should seriously consider growing instead of buying from the store. Some of these grow incredibly fast. Some of them keep producing again and again. And one of them, well, once you plant it, you might end up with way more than you expected. Trust me, gardeners know exactly which one I'm talking about. Now, before we jump in, quick favor. If you enjoy learning simple gardening tricks, growing your own food, and turning small spaces into little green gardens, make sure you subscribe to the channel, The Garden Sage. This channel is all about making gardening simple, practical, and honestly, a lot more fun than people think. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join the community. All right, let's start with something that honestly feels like a tiny gardening magic trick: green onions. Because the first time someone showed me this, I genuinely thought they were joking. You know the green onions you buy from the store? The ones with the white ends and little roots attached? Most people chop them up, use them, and toss the bottom part in the trash. But that bottom part, that's the interesting part. Instead of throwing it away, you can place those white root ends in a small glass of water. Just a little water, enough to cover the roots. Put it near a window where it gets some light. And then, just wait. Within a few days, you'll start seeing new green shoots growing again. Not slowly either. Sometimes it feels like they grow overnight. It's honestly kind of satisfying to watch. After a while, you can even move them into a pot with soil and they'll keep growing stronger. And the cool thing is, you don't have to harvest the whole plant. Just trim the green tops when you need them. They grow back again, and again, and again. So instead of buying green onions every week, you basically keep regrowing the same ones. It's simple, it's practical, and honestly, one of the easiest ways to start growing food at home. Now, lettuce, this one surprised me when I first started gardening, because for the longest time, I thought lettuce was something you needed a big garden for, like those giant farm fields you see on documentaries. But that's not really how it works at home. Lettuce is actually one of the easiest vegetables to grow in small spaces. A container, a raised bed, even a wide pot can work just fine. And here's the part people don't always realize. You don't have to pull the whole plant out when you harvest it. Instead, you can just pick a few outer leaves whenever you want a salad. The plant keeps growing new leaves from the center, which means one plant can keep producing for weeks. Think about that for a second. Instead of buying another bag of lettuce every time you want a salad, you simply walk outside, pick what you need, rinse it, and that's it. Fresh lettuce right from the plant. And honestly, the taste difference can be noticeable too. Store lettuce is often harvested early so it can survive shipping and storage. But homegrown lettuce, you pick it at the perfect moment. Crisp, fresh, and exactly when you want it. Okay, we need to talk about tomatoes for a second, because if there's one vegetable, well, technically fruit, that gardeners get excited about, it's tomatoes. And there's a reason for that. Store tomatoes are fine, they do the job, but once you taste a tomato that came straight from your own plant, things kinda change. They're usually sweeter, juicier, and the flavor is just stronger. A friend of mine once told me after eating homegrown tomatoes, grocery store tomatoes feel like decoration. And honestly, I kind of understood what he meant. Tomato plants also tend to be surprisingly productive. One healthy plant can produce dozens of tomatoes over the season, depending on the variety. Some grow small cherry tomatoes, which are great for salads. Others produce bigger slicing tomatoes, perfect for sandwiches. And many tomato plants grow well in containers too, which means you don't need a huge garden. A sunny spot, a large pot, and regular watering can go a long way. Watching tomatoes slowly turn from green to yellow to bright red on the vine is also oddly satisfying. It makes the wait feel worth it. Spinach is one of those vegetables people buy constantly. Smoothies, salads, cooking, it shows up everywhere. But growing spinach yourself can actually be surprisingly simple. Spinach doesn't usually demand a lot of space. A shallow container or small garden bed can support several plants at once. And like lettuce, spinach allows something gardeners call cut and come again harvesting. That just means you pick a few leaves at a time instead of removing the entire plant. The plant keeps producing new leaves as it grows, so instead of buying another bag every week, you harvest small amounts whenever you need them. And let's be honest, anyone who's bought bagged spinach knows the frustration. You open the fridge a few days later and suddenly the leaves are already starting to wilt. It happens fast. But when it's growing at home, the spinach stays alive and fresh until the moment you pick it, which feels completely different from pulling it out of a plastic bag. It's simple, but it changes the whole experience of eating it. Cucumbers are another vegetable that tends to surprise beginner gardeners, mostly because of how productive they can be. One healthy cucumber plant can produce quite a few cucumbers over its growing season, and they tend to grow quickly once the plant gets established. Another cool thing about cucumbers is that they like to climb. With a small trellis, fence, or support, cucumber vines can grow upward instead of spreading across the ground. That makes them great for small gardens or compact spaces. And there's something really satisfying about seeing cucumbers hanging from a vine like little green ornaments. Fresh cucumbers tend to be crisp and refreshing, especially when harvested at the right size. Many gardeners say cucumbers taste noticeably fresher when picked straight from the plant. And honestly, part of that might simply be timing. Store cucumbers often travel long distances before reaching shelves, but homegrown cucumbers go straight from the plant to the kitchen. No long trip required. Garlic might be one of the most patient vegetables on this list, but the process of growing it is incredibly simple. Instead of planting seeds, garlic is usually grown from cloves, the same cloves you see when you break apart a garlic bulb in the kitchen. Each clove has the potential to grow into a new bulb underground. You plant the clove in soil with the pointed end facing upward, cover it lightly, and let nature do its thing. Over time, the plant grows green leaves above the soil, while the bulb slowly forms below. It takes a few months, so garlic definitely teaches patience, but the idea is kind of fascinating when you think about it. One small clove becomes an entire bulb made of multiple cloves. And many gardeners enjoy growing garlic because it doesn't require constant attention once it's planted. It simply grows quietly underground until harvest time. All right, zucchini has a bit of a reputation in the gardening world, and not because it's difficult to grow. Actually, it's the opposite. Zucchini plants are famous for producing a lot of vegetables, sometimes a lot more than people expect. Gardeners often joke that if someone you know grows zucchini, you'll probably end up receiving some eventually, because once the plant starts producing, it can keep going for weeks. Zucchini also grows fairly quickly in warm conditions and usually develops large leaves that shade the soil underneath. And when the plant starts forming those long green zucchinis, it can feel like they appear almost overnight. One day they're tiny, the next day they're suddenly big enough to harvest. Many people enjoy using zucchini in stir-fries, grilling, baking, or even spiralizing it into noodles. And because the plant can be so productive, a single healthy plant can sometimes provide plenty for a household, which is exactly why many gardeners keep planting it every year. Bell peppers are another vegetable that often costs a little more at the grocery store, especially the colorful ones like red, yellow, or orange peppers. But growing them yourself can be very rewarding. Pepper plants tend to stay relatively compact, which means they work well in containers or smaller garden spaces. As the plant grows, small white flowers appear first. Those flowers eventually develop into peppers. At the beginning, they're usually green, and depending on the variety, they can slowly change color as they mature. And watching that color change happen on the plant is actually pretty interesting. Green, then yellow, then maybe bright red or orange. Each stage represents a slightly different flavor and sweetness level. And while pepper plants may take some time to produce their first peppers, they can continue producing multiple fruits over the season, which makes them a popular choice for home gardens. Radishes are perfect for people who don't enjoy waiting months to see results, because radishes grow fast, really fast. Some varieties can be ready to harvest in about 3 to 4 weeks after planting. That's incredibly quick compared to many other vegetables. For beginner gardeners, this speed can be motivating. You plant the seeds, water them, and before long, the small green leaves appear above the soil. Meanwhile, the red or white radish root is slowly forming underneath. And when harvest time comes, you simply pull the plant out of the ground and see the radish attached at the bottom. It's a simple moment, but it feels surprisingly satisfying. Radishes also don't require a huge amount of space, which makes them a good option for small garden beds or containers. Because they mature so quickly, gardeners sometimes plant several small batches throughout the season. That way, new radishes are always growing while others are ready to harvest. Okay, technically herbs aren't vegetables, but leaving them out of this list wouldn't feel right, because herbs are some of the most useful plants you can grow at home. Think about how often recipes call for fresh basil, parsley, cilantro, or mint. Now think about what usually happens when you buy herbs from the store. You use a small portion and the rest sits in the fridge